Bonjour and welcome to another video. Before I get into this video, I didn't watch the Super Bowl yesterday, which was Sunday. So basically, I'm making this video the day after the Super Bowl. Well, I didn't watch the Super Bowl yesterday, but I heard about the singer, the Puerto Rican singer, Bad Bunny, singing songs in Spanish. And that angered some people on the MAGA Donald Trump side. Donald Trump, the president of the United States, said that, I think he said at the performance at the Super Bowl halftime show was a disgrace, and it was terrible. This is his words. So Donald Trump didn't like it at all. Me? Well, even though I didn't watch the Super Bowl, I watched highlights of it, and I heard about it from a person that I'm not gonna say. But Bad Bunny singing in Spanish, it didn't hurt me at all. It was a good thing, and it was. Bad Bunny did what he did to show that anything in the United States is possible. Well, we all know that the United States has so many problems. The problems from a Winston Wu standpoint states that the U.S. is still a country that lacks social or human connection. Everybody is segregated, isolated, paranoid, and fake. It is hard to make any normal friends here. But all of that is ignored by mainstream Americans. And the United States is a country that was built by immigrants. Okay, if you're an American, listen up. We are the descendants of immigrants who came to the North American continent from Europe and other continents in the world, which contains countries. And Bad Bunny's Spanish speaking or Spanish music performance during the Super Bowl halftime show is a showcase of that. And I also heard about that racist video. Well, this video was pretty bad and has some racist aspects to it. It was posted on Donald Trump's Truth Social account. And the video showed a lot of people within the Democratic Party as animals, and Donald Trump was a lion. And also it probably this was on another video, but yeah, on another video that was also posted on Donald Trump's Truth Social. I don't know if it was on that video, the video that shows Donald Trump as a lion, as a king of the jungle or whatnot, and all the animals are bowing down to him. But it also showed, it was on this video or on another video. It was a clip that showed former President Barack Obama and his wife Michelle Obama as apes. Basically, their heads were plastered on the bodies of apes, describing the former First Lady and the former 44th President as apes. And it was very, very racist, very disgusting towards every single Black American here in the U.S. Did it make me upset? No, but it was kind of like racist, very insulting. I'm gonna say it was racist. And Donald Trump didn't apologize about all of this. I think his administration took down the video on his Truth Social account on Truth Social. So yeah, it was racist, and it was. So that's basically that's all I want to say in the beginning of this video. All right, enough of that. Okay, you saw that title, and the title of this video is Corporations in America Are Greedy. And this is the most telling, the most gross, sickening, heartless part of American society. Greedy, rich, huge multinational corporations. And I'm going to speak about them. Okay, you have some stores by the name of TJ Maxx, Ross, Marshalls, Walmart, Best Buy, Burlington Coat Factory, Amazon, and every single corporation in the United States. And they all have something in common. They're all about greed. Greed, greed, greed. They're all about quantity than quality when it comes to their customers. They treat their customers like dirt, and they also treat their employees like dirt. Okay, you got Amazon. And I remember this. And this was on the news. And I told this to someone, and someone said that it was fake news. Well, it's like this. You have some people who worked at Amazon. They couldn't take breaks. And they had to if they want to go to the bathroom, they had to pee in water bottles and shit in bags. Be more specific. They had to urinate in water bottles and defecate in bags. And they're doing this because they can't take a break. They got to work nonstop without taking a break. And they feel frustrated and angry and under a lot of stress. They had to step into a cubicle block, wherever you call it. Some porta potty crystal block thing with a door on it. They open it, they go inside it, into it. They open the door and they go inside of it to blow off some steam. And also, this was, and this was like under Jeff Bezos, I think. And Jeff Bezos made so much money off of the back of his employees, and he really doesn't care anything about them. He makes so much money off of them. He takes the money that he makes off of these people and uses it to build a spaceship for him and his rich buddies to go into space. Yeah, they went into space on a rocket ship that's shaped like a circumcised penis. Go into space, leave Earth, go into space, and they're in space, floating around. After part of the spaceship breaks off, and they're in space for not that very long, and they come flying back down to Earth through this thing that was part of the spaceship, and this thing deployed a parachute for them to float down safely to the ground on Earth. And after all of this, it was a press conference or celebration through all of this. Jeff Bezos is sitting down with people. He's in his space. He's wearing a space suit, and he has a cowboy hat on his head. And he said this to his employees: "I want to thank all of you from the bottom of my heart to help me get into space along with my rich friends." That's what he says. And you know, these rich people, these owners of these huge multinational corporations, they let their employees work in poor working conditions. They let them work nonstop. They don't give them paid vacation time by law. They don't pay them enough. Basically, these people just work longer hours for less pay, and you got people in this country who end up homeless and living out on the streets. Yeah, you got people in California living on the streets of Los Angeles. Then you got people living in their cars at camps. Then you got people in landlord-friendly states like the Commonwealth of Virginia, where being behind on your rent is no laughing matter. And I saw this on a documentary on YouTube. Police officers go to an apartment complex with guns, and they force a tenant out, a person who's living in an apartment. They force them out by gunpoint because they're behind on their rent. And the landlord doesn't care where these people go. And there was this fat old white man who was a landlord when this person from Europe interviewed him, and he said this to him: "Do you think that's kind of harsh? I mean, she has nowhere to go." And this is what this fat white landlord said: "Well, that's up to her to decide." Yeah, and then before that, he goes and checks every room in the apartment, and he changes the locks. And then you got a bunch of weirdos in Texas. In some strange way, they go through some special experiment or whatnot to pretend to be homeless and to see how homeless people live. And they're religious, by the way, which is very, very strange. And Yeah. And going back to all these corporations. Okay, you got Walmart. Okay, you got Walmart. I remember there was an old man who worked at a Walmart somewhere here in the US. He was 69 years old. And he caught a thief stealing something at the store, and he goes and stops him. Instead of the old man being praised and promoted by his job punishes him for harassing a shopper and treating a shopper like dirt. And he loses his job over this. He loses his job simply for stopping a thief from shoplifting. Then you got people also at Walmart. I heard that in the past, they died on the job. In Walmart, the corporation, with the 6 Aarons of Walmart, Sam Walton's children, they viewed this person who died on their job as a dead peasant or a peasant. Also at these corporations or these places where people shop at, like Ross. Okay, I remember I bought two bottles of body spray. And when I got to the checkout counter, when it was my turn to pay for my things, after the person left after paying for their things, okay, this cashier said this to me. So, you want to buy these? And I said, yes. I was going to say something I was about to say something to him after he asked me that question. When I got to this, yeah, I want to, and when I said that, he cut me off and just ran his mouth. I didn't say anything. This happens to me sometimes, but it doesn't happen to me all the time. And I got fired from a job because of a boss that I had at a job that I used to work at, because the boss was greedy and she was acting like an idiot. It was a woman. She was acting like an idiot. She was jumping on my case, telling me when the store is going to open. And I was I'm cleaning up and doing my job. And she just acting stupid with me. And at the same time, I'm working part-time and I'm being paid less. And I held 3 jobs and I lost 3 jobs for throwing a temper tantrum. And I realize right now that I got to hang on to a job. I got to work and make a living, regardless of how heartless and how crazy these greedy corporations are. How greedy and the bosses, the supervisors, and the employees act like jackasses because of the massive greed of these owners who own these corporations. And I'm going to say this, the greed of these corporations here in the US are just destroying the lives of regular everyday people. People are working longer hours, they get paid less, and some of them, I don't know, all of them, some of them end up homeless. And you got some people who just work a paycheck. I mean, they're doing the right thing. They're working. They're being smart with their money. They're saving their money. And they're doing the right thing, but it doesn't matter because they're just one paycheck away from being homeless. And it's crazy that people work all the time. Here in the US, they get no time off. They can't spend time with family and friends. They just work all the time. Work, 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 work. And it's worse enough that the United States is nothing more than a workaholic nation. People just work all the time. They work. They work, 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 work. Work all the time, work all the time. And the frustration, the anger, and the stress is getting to them. And that's why, like, people have screwed up hearts when they get old. They have heart problems. And on top of that, they eat unhealthy foods that contain artificial ingredients and toxins, dangerous GMOs. The foods make them flare up their tempers. They're out of shape. They develop heart disease, cancer, and they die after all of this. It's because they have a shorter lifespan. The United States has a very, very low life expectancy due to the country not having a universal health care system. Then on top of that, like, you got these people who work all the time. They pay more in taxes, while people like Jeff Bezos and others who own corporations who are greedy, they make so much money. I mean, they're just buried in green pieces of paper with dead presidents on them. Yeah, they make so much money and they pay a lower tax rate. Or they just pay little to no taxes at all. Or get an audit. You can't stop these corporations. You can't stop their greed. And I was talking to this woman from New Zealand, which is a nurse, at my doctor's office. At my doctor office. Yeah, when I went to see my doctor, I talked to this nurse about something, and she was from New Zealand, and me and her talked about so much greed here in the US. And she said, well, there's too much of this, there's too much of that around here. That's what I told her. There's too much greed around here. And me and her agreed, and she said, yeah, and I said, yeah, as well. And we both agree. It's just too much greed, selfishness, and greed. The United States is a country that's all about greed, selfishness, individualism, self-reliance, don't need no help from anybody. Oh, and keep away from me. I don't want to talk to you. Stay away from me. Mind your own business. MYOB. Mind your own business. MYOB. Yeah. And all of this is wrapped in freedom. Freedom. If you ask me, working all the time, making less money, ending up on the streets and being homeless, being kicked out of an apartment if you're behind on your rent because you don't have enough money to pay the rent. Yeah, being homeless, living out on the streets, living in your car at some park. Yeah, you lack health insurance. You can't afford it. You can't afford health insurance. You live less. You're miserable. You're unhappy. I mean, that doesn't sound like freedom to me. And we all know this. And I know this as well. We know that the United States has less freedom than other countries. Yeah, the United States has less freedom. Lesser than China. And oh my God, this country has the highest prison population in the world. This country has more people in prisons than any other country in the world. And all of this is wrapped in freedom. Oh yeah, the military industrial complex, along with the prison industrial complex. So, yeah. And these corporations, these owners of these corporations here in America, they just living it up. They're just living it up. They just have it great. So, yeah, there's no change in this. This is going to be like this for forever and ever and ever. Nothing's not going to change. So, that's all I gotta say in this video. More videos to come. All right. Cheers and au revoir. Merci beaucoup. Au revoir.